Okay, recently we've been talking a lot about choices, making healthy choices, making responsible choices. Choices that you make are so important. So today we're going to talk about that equation that I mentioned, E plus R equals O, which is going to help us to think about positive and helpful choices. So again, we've got our E, which stands for event. Now, event is something that happens to you that you have to deal with. You have to make a choice about. So there's an event plus R, so E plus R, which is our response. Now, a response is the choice that you make. This is the most important thing because this, boys and girls, is what you have control over. So E plus R equals O. O stands for outcome. This is what happens. What happens after you make your response? How does it end? Is it a positive outcome? Is it a negative outcome? Is it helpful, right? These are all the things that we want to be thinking about when making helpful choices or responses. So let's come up with an example for E plus R equals O. All right, so here's a really simple and basic situation that happens to a lot of kids, and that is the event is your shoelace becomes untied. Well, what is our response going to be? Well, one response might be to ignore it. I see that happen at recess, and you think, it doesn't matter, right? And so the response is to ignore the shoelace, and the outcome of that is going to be ouch, right? You might trip and fall and get hurt. That's a negative outcome because of the response that kid chose. Let's think about a different way to do it. Same event, right? We didn't choose it, but our shoelace became untied. Well, what's our response going to be? Well, you tie it. What's your outcome? What's going to happen? Well, you can have fun and play at recess. You can run fast, right? And be safe. It's a very positive outcome compared to the last one. Well, here's one more example of E plus R equals O that deals with schoolwork. This is a common situation. A common event is that you get math homework. So some kind of work that you've got to do. Well, what could be a choice or response? Here's one. You have math homework and instead you choose to play video games. Well, what is the outcome of playing video games? Not a very positive one. So instead of doing the math practice, this student played video games, and then when it came to try and do the work on a test maybe or on schoolwork the next day, when trying to solve the problem, they were frustrated because they couldn't do it. So choosing a response of playing video games gave them a negative outcome where they felt frustrated, they felt angry because they couldn't get their work done. Well, what would be a better response than playing video games? Well, what do you think? I think to do your homework and actually practice the math work, right? Sometimes it's not the easiest response to do. It's pretty easy and fun to play a video game, but the outcome was negative. Instead, sometimes we have to pick responses that are a little more difficult or challenging, so which is actually to get the hard work done or do that practice so that we can get an outcome that we want, which is positive and productive. Here in this situation, after practicing, the student was able to complete their math work and feel good about it. Think of how that feels like, right? When you've had to really practice and work at something and you finally get it, boys and girls, these are the kind of outcomes that we're looking for. We want you here at school and when you're at home and all throughout your life to choose helpful responses to make you have positive and productive outcomes.